Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We are finally getting to the Corsair Repaint. If you missed it, we now have another Corsair. So for those of you who were complaining about me having a plain blue Corsair, now we have a three-tone, which is actually my second favorite Corsair paint scheme. I like plain three tones, so call me crazy. Although this one does have some nose art on it. We are going to be redoing some of it though. I got an order in with Cali for some decals for this and some paint masks for this Corsair because, as you can see, that star and bar is very small. The one on the fuselage is not terrible, but it's kind of in the wrong spots, too far forward. You can see I already pulled the numbers off. I bought some paint, so I'm going to basically sand these a little bit, paint the areas that need to be painted. I'm going to do paint masks. I'm going to paint on some new stars and bars, fuselage and wings on this one, and then also the real one, the real airplane, this particular scheme, it has the nose art on this side, the name of it, so I'm going to leave the one on the other side. It also has a few small things like little white sections, it's white back there, it's white up there. Some variations of this scheme has a white ring on the cowling, but I don't like that, so I'm not going to do it. And it's not in every picture anyways, so. Anyways, we're going to touch this up. We're going to paint some stuff, paint control horns and stuff so they get hidden a little bit more. And I also got paint masks for this because these stars and bars are too small. They're also in the wrong spot. The one on top of the wing, a little too small. So I'm redoing those. And then obviously this is getting completely painted, but I'm in a bit of a toss-up right now because originally I was planning on there's a plain blue restored Corsair just with stars and bars, and it's got the N number on the tail. That was my original plan, but I have been looking at the CAF Corsair, which has the checkered on the cowling and the tail, and the little logo right here. Otherwise, essentially the same paint scheme, stars and bars are going to be in the same spot as the other scheme. Cali has a decal, so I'm going to go ahead and just order them, and then maybe I'll put them on later. The problem with that paint scheme is I like it overall, but in true modeler fashion, the real one has white landing gear, and the insides of the wheel wells are white, which isn't terrible, but I like the original look, which is blue inside the doors, blue landing gear, and then it's got zinc chromate inside the wheel well. I like the way that looks. And I like the way the blue landing gear looks. Although that one has silver wheels, not blue wheels. But anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm going to do it all blue. And then maybe we'll... I asked Callie to actually send me decals that were done in the paint mask vinyl. Because it's a lower tack vinyl. And so essentially I can put those on. And then later, if I want to change it, I can just peel them off and totally change it. So I'm going to try that. They should stick well enough to a nice glossy surface that I shouldn't have to worry about them. But anyways, let's see. Lots of changes to the car if you're following my car. So maybe we'll do a video on that at some other point. But anyways, back to the Corsair. So I'm doing some little stuff. I had to make some adjustments to the cowling. I trimmed this back a little bit. I realized that this forward canopy was like kind of barely glued on, so I put in some countersunk screws, one on each side, and then I also glued it. So that shouldn't be going anywhere. And then I had to fix this. One of the recent days we took this flying, I was in a hurry to pack up the car, and I had just flown the airplane, and so the cowling was really hot from sitting with the engine hot underneath it. And so the composite was soft, and what I did was I had it upside down on the stand to take the wings off of it, not realizing that it was sitting on this spot and not farther back where the bulkhead is. And because it was so hot, it actually deformed the glass from the weight pushing on it. So I took it flying a few weeks ago, and the heat it went mostly back into shape, but there was still a little low spot in there. So filled that in. I got to primer that. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to primer over all the decals. So this has... I thought these were painted on because the decals were so nice I couldn't tell, but they're not. These are all water slide decals with clear coat over them. So what I have to do is I have to primer around these to kind of blend these edges so that way I don't see the decal edges after I paint it blue, especially dark glossy blue. You're going to see all this stuff. So I have to kind of blend all these decals in, so I'm going to shoot all those with primer. Had a couple other little things to fix. So right now I'm just going to be doing some primer work and some sanding. And yeah, we're going to go from there. Alrighty, so we have most of the blending done. You can get a good idea of what's going on here. You can see the edge of the decal. And we got some primer and then the old paint. So what you're seeing here is a fairing, if you will, of the edge of the decal. And feels really good now. So kind of do the same thing around all these painted edges. But I can see my cowling repair turned out pretty good. And let's see, everything else. See if you can still maybe ever so slightly see some of it, but overall it's pretty good. I did cut out the footstep and the flap on the right side, and I just got done putting some primer over my gun ports. I got some aluminum tube, and I got to make the little right wing stall strip that goes out here, so gotta do that still. And like I said, originally I was going to redo the oil cooler area, but I think I'm just going to leave it. I might make some little screens to go over the actual oil cooler locations just to give a little more detail, but essentially cutting these out and making new ones would be not fun. So I might still do it because it is a pretty prominent feature on the airplane, and most of the times they're kind of meh on models. These ones aren't terrible. They at least give the illusion of the curved guide vanes that are inside of the duct here, although those would be a little bit farther back inside. But overall it's not terrible. I could probably maybe even just cut out these little sections and make it look like it's got vanes in it. But again, it's not a bad oil cooler setup from scale, especially, you know, you stand back here and it gives the idea. But anyways, that's where we're at. I think the decals are pretty much all blended in. Pretty much now just need to give the whole thing a wet sanding once I get all the last little details done, and then this thing will be ready to do a final clean. And I got to paint inside of all the flap areas, inside the flight controls. You know, I got to move all the flight controls down, paint everything inside of here. If I just leave it like this and paint it, when I go like that, it's going to be a big old white strip. So I'm going to have to go around and kind of like paint around everything. I got to decide if I'm going to paint the insides of the doors white or leave them white, or if I'm going to paint them blue, if I'm going to paint the gear blue. I got to decide. Now is the time. So anyways, that's where we're at. Alright, so while I was at it, I made the stall strip, just kind of put some Bondo on there and shaped it out. I also decided to try adding some screen to simulate the oil coolers themselves. It looks pretty cool, so I think I'm just going to leave it like that. I really don't feel like digging into this whole thing and causing a mess in here, so I'm just going to leave it, sand it as is. So basically, we're down to just kind of needing to sand the whole thing, clean it, and look for any small stuff to fix, but essentially it's just about ready to paint. Okay, so I have the landing gear all cleaned up and masked. I did add a piece of carbon tube right here because this whole thing is chrome, obviously, or polished. And on the real one, this section is a little higher up, and very rarely do you even see chrome on a Corsair when it's sitting on the ground. So since it stops right here, I put a little piece of carbon tube so it'll all be painted. And then I made some brakes. So on the Corsair, this part's stationary and the wheel spins around it. So I made those out of fiberglass. So the gear ready. I also added some little tabs here to my hatch to help hold everything in place so it fits a little bit nicer. Let's see. Basically now I'm just kind of getting got the whole bottom cleaned. I had to wipe with acetone. So problem is, since I ran the smoke system in this thing, the whole belly gets covered in oil, and it's everywhere. It's in the flaps and the gear doors. So I wiped it down really good a couple of times, wet sanded it, wiped it down again, sanded it some more. So I'll probably clean it at least a couple more times. But essentially what I'm getting ready to do right now is spray the insides of the doors, the landing gear, inside these hard to reach flap areas, tail wheel. So that way tomorrow I'll get this all sprayed, and then I'll retract the tail wheel. That way the doors will be closed. And then that way when I spray it, I can get all up in here just fine. I also added a bulkhead back here that ties into the elevator mounts. And there was a lot of flex back here on the elevator axis especially. Because there was really nothing tying in the elevator to any of the other structures. So I've tied this bulkhead into that wood piece that runs across the bottom here, so it's quite a bit stronger now. And I mean, it was fine before, but it seemed a little sketchy. So anyways, just about ready to start putting some paint on this thing. It's all got to be cleaned one more time at least. I'll probably do the bottom with acetone again, then hit it with some Windex or something, clean it really good, and then I'll get these landing gear areas and flap and control surface areas sprayed today, and then tomorrow morning super early I'll get up like I did with the Bearcat before it gets warm and before the bugs come out, before the wind comes up, and I'll get the main part of the airplane painted tomorrow morning. So that way it's got a couple of weeks to sit before I take it out and have it in the direct sunlight for an entire day at the event we're going to in Orange County. So I don't remember if I covered this before, but I added some little screens to kind of doll up these to look like the oil coolers, just to make this look a little bit nicer. And I think I covered the stall strip I did, pretty sure, in the previous video. So I made a stall strip, gun ports, just a few extra little details, so that's where we're at. So yeah, let's put some color on this thing. Alright, so we're out here. It's a little breezy, and Bentley added AS3X Plus to his creation here. Oh, bruh. Alright, feel like we've been here before. Almost exactly a year ago we painted the Bearcat out here. I got the thing hung up by a piece of hardware on the door. Use my light tripod here. Worked out pretty well. So everything's been wiped down. Everything's been wiped off with a tack cloth. And yeah, I think we're ready to mix up some paint. Let's turn this thing blue. Alright, so that's the first coat. Okay, that's it. 2 coats. It's not perfect. I got a couple of random weird spots, but overall, turned out pretty good. I had a little section right here react, so it's all crinkled up. And then we got spots like this, which that's an oil spot, so contamination underneath the paint. But for the most part, should look pretty good. I like the color, so if you're not aware, I actually mixed 2 colors together. Because in the Bearcat, it was a hair dark, and this looks honestly just about right. Kind of makes me want to repaint my Bearcat. But Peter Goldsmith tipped me off because the Class Coat Glossy Sea Blue, which is the right color, or should be the right color, it's a little dark. So he said add in some Insignia Blue, and so I mixed in, like, let's see where to go. I had a smaller can, and I mixed, I had two small cans. I had a small can of Glossy Sea Blue and a small can of Insignia, and this already had some left in it, and I put about half a can of the Insignia Blue with the dark sea blue, or the glossy sea blue, mixed it into this one. This is my old kit from my Panther and my Bearcat. But anyways, mix it, and yeah, it looks just about right. And obviously we painted these last night. You see the color looks just about right. I love the blue landing gear for some reason. I don't know what it is about that, but I think it looks cool. Probably because most people don't do that. Most people just leave them silver or paint them white, which, unless the real one was like that, which active duty Corsairs were not, unless they had the gold, gray, and white scheme. They had white gear, but all the blue, well, the Tritones had white gear, but the all blue ones did not. Some had silver, most were blue. Anyways, that is it, guys. Gotta let this dry now. It's got some dust in it, obviously, and it's pretty hard to get around when you're spraying outside. So the only bummer, I could have done probably a little bit nicer job, but my compressor can't keep up. And so what's happening is when I let the compressor build up and I start, I can get a really nice spray pattern, really nice consistency, and then as the tank drains down, I'm running out of air pressure, and so the fluid coming out isn't coming out as smooth. There's less air that's coming out with it. So when it comes out with the full air pressure, man, it sprays super nice. The one nice thing about this paint is that it does flatten out really nice. So by that I mean it kind of flows out as it dries. And I put a lot of thinner in this so that way it would flow out a little bit better. So anyways, that's where we're at. Alright, so we got her down off the wire. I just opened up the doors, put a couple of screws in the gear to hold them in so I could get this thing on the ground and move it around in the sun so I can warm up areas a little bit at a time. But yeah, pretty stoked with it. Not shabby. Alright guys, so I'm just about done adding all the details, just waiting on my decals to show up from Cali. So you can see a few things. I got the wing walks, I got the metal gun ports, metal exhaust area behind the cowling, some of the polished fasteners, or they could have just been fasteners with broken off paint, but these are access panels that they get into quite a bit when they maintenance these things. The real one, the one that I'm modeling, has pretty much all this exposed like that. So let's see. Did a little detailing on the oil cooler areas. Overall looks pretty cool. Looking forward to getting my decals. Just letting her get some sun out here. Not too much at once though. I'm letting it kind of get warm, take it back in the shade. Get warm, take it back in the shade. Don't want to overheat this thing. Alright, so a little update. We're done with the Corsair, well, except for markings, which just shipped today, unfortunately. But I've been working on the P47, and it's essentially done. So you can see I got the wingtip lights, I got the light in the rudder. That light kind of isn't supposed to be there, but there was I didn't want to just have it sitting inside, so put it up top. Obviously the radial's in it now. Other wingtip light. I got the gear doors on the tail wheel. So that's looking sweet. I got the inner gear doors on the main gear. And oh, I got the guns in. Made some guns today. Those turned out pretty cool. Nice. And so last few things I'm going to be doing, I didn't really care for how this color turned out, so I got some different olive drab to paint this with, and then I'm going to be redoing the stars and bars on the wings, top and bottom. Also redoing the tail number because that's not the right font, not the right size. I got to fatten up the stripes on the tails a little bit, but I might do a little weathering on it, dirty up a little bit. But anyways, yeah, we test ran it. I put new carburetors on it. I don't know if you guys remember the last time we flew it, but we had issues with it. So changed the carburetors, and it's running awesome now. So yeah, that's where we're at, waiting on decals and paint masks for this. And yeah, I guess we'll tune back in after we get that. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're out here with the MiG-15. This isn't just any MiG-15. This has the 30mm fan out of the Sabre and the 4S, what was it, a 450? 4S battery pack, and then obviously the Sabre brick. So this thing is an absolute ripper. So we're gonna take it up in this calm air and show you guys what it do. All right, so just a quick update on the painting of the airplanes. So we got Cali Graphics paint masks in. This is the Zrolli, obviously. We got Bentley over here. He's working on his new Delta, complete with lights. This one hasn't been touched yet. This place is a mess. I got all my paint masks over here. P-47 is all done. I just finished. They had to be weathered still, but yes, they're on both sides and the bottom on this P-47. Anyways, those are all done. So now we're just cranking this thing out. We got a couple days to finish these airplanes before this event, so let's get her done. So it's pretty crazy what proper markings and colors will do for a model. Even one that's not ultra scale. But pretty happy. Pretty happy with how this turned out. Definitely get some good pictures. This all has to be weathered still, so obviously it's bright white. It's not going to be that clean. But yeah, pretty happy. It's got to do the one on the bottom. And this one's all finished. Alright, so everybody on Facebook that was crying about me putting vinyls on this airplane, you got your wish. Me painting these puppies on, and the reason is I had asked Callie for a low-tack version of the decals in case I wanted to peel them off later, and I said, like you use for your paint mask. Well, she used to use white low-tack vinyl for her paint mask. Apparently she does not use white vinyl anymore. She uses this blue stuff. So I got sent those, so now I just use them as templates. So I just hand masked them. I mean, it's a star and bar. It's not complicated. Good to see you too, mother-in-law. So I just hand masked them, and I'm getting ready to shoot some paint on them. Okay, so I got the wings sprayed up. Got the masking off. Very nice. Now we're getting the star and bar and the fuselage set up. Obviously you see I have it tacked in place, and I've made some marks here on these masking tapes in this backing, so that way I can line it back up right where I want it. So the problem is one side, because I only have one of these, and the reason why is I actually have two of them of a slightly smaller size. Those are the ones that I thought were for this airplane. Well, I got them mixed up when I painted the stars and bars on the P-47 on the top, and this is supposed to be one of the P-47. Well, I thought it was one of the P-47 stars and bars, but it's for this airplane. So I only have one. So these peel off. The blue peels off really easily, but when I go to set up the second side, I'm going to have to hand place these. So that's going to be fun, but shouldn't be too bad. So anyways, let's get this stuck down, get it masked around it, and then we'll go to the other side. Alright, so I got the stars and bars on the body taped up, and I had to do the tail number by hand using the little mylar, or the paint mask that I got. Put those down first, put some tape over them, and then cut them all out. So those might not turn out great. But yeah, let's get this over with. It's getting late. All right, guys, here she is. I mean, obviously, pretty basic. I ended up having to do, I think I mentioned it, that was by hand. That was not fun. But yeah, we got our filthy, gross, war-laden Corsair, and we have our pretty restored airshow Corsairs. So best of both worlds now. But yeah, this is probably a super long video by this point, so hope you guys liked it, and we'll get some flight videos soon. And we'll see you in the next one.